distinguished speakers, research scholars, students, and esteemed guests. I, Harshita Sharma and Ishika Chopra, extend a heartfelt, warm welcome to all of you. So I welcome you to the inaugural session of the 4th Annual IIHSG International Conference 2024 on Human Security and Global Governance. Today, we gather here to delve into critical discussions that not only shape our academic discourse, but also influence global conversations on governance, security, and the role of identity in the ever-changing world. So without a further ado, I invite our distinguished guests on the stage. Honorable Chief Guest, Srimati Rekha Sharma Ma'am. Honorable Keynote Speaker, Professor Dr. Swaran Singh, Professor at Center for International Politics, Organization Disarmament. Mr. Saroj Kumar Mahapatra, Ex-Officio Member Secretary and Executive Director, Pradan, New Delhi. Professor Alka Parikh, Director, Center for Field Learning, Ahmedabad. And Dr. Nandini Basistha, Convener of Conference and Executive Director of IIHSG. I welcome all the guests on the dais. Thank you very much.
We will start our program with the national anthem. I request everyone to rise for the national anthem.
Punjab, Sindh, Gujarat, Maratha, Dravida, Uttara, Banga, Vindhya, Himachal, Yamuna, Ganga, Uchchal, Jaladi, Taranga, Tava Shubha Name Jave, Tava Shubha Ashish Mage, Gahe Tava Jaya Gatha, Jana Gana Mangala Dayaka Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata, Jaya He, Jaya He, Jaya He, Jaya 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 He, Jana Gana.
Thank you, everyone. Now I would like to invite Dr. Nandini Basistha to deliver a welcome address. Ma'am is an experienced political scientist specializing in Indian government and politics, identity politics, and human security, with a PhD from Allahabad Central University. Currently serving as Executive Director at Interdisciplinary Institute of Human Security and Governance, Convener of the Conference and Executive Director. I invite ma'am for the welcome address for our dignitaries and delegates. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Harshita. Good morning, everybody. It is really a great matter of satisfaction for IIHSG that so many dignitaries from around India and abroad gathered here for the annual conference of IIHSG. I heartily welcome you all. It's 4th time when we are organizing conference on human security. People always ask why human security time and again. Actually, these are many bodies where are working for human security in segments. For example, National Commission for Women is working wonderful job for securing women's security. Our Honorable Chief Guest, Srimati Rekha Sharma, will speak about that. One of the largest NGO of India, Pradan, is working for income security in grassroots level. Saroj Mahapatra will elaborate that. Center for Field Learning is working for environmental security. Professor Alka Parikh joined us from Ahmedabad to speak about that. Former Director of Center for International Politics Organization and Disarmament and renowned Professor of Jawaharlal Nehru University, Professor Singh will speak about the global scenario. But during COVID, we thought to have a platform for holistic discussion of human security and then establish this institute. Since inception, me and my dear sister, Professor Aurora Martin from Romania, she is a gender security expert in the ministry, is trying to build a network for human security. In spite of heavy COVID, she joined us today. When we established IIHSG and started calling people to speak in a seminar on human security, many of them were unaware about the concept. Many of them read UNDP concept of human security to speak on the subject. But in our last conference and 30 conference proceedings, we have somehow insisted people to think, talk and listen about that, and you can see how scholars of whole world now discussing this matter and localized issues in indigenous manner. Although our institute is interdisciplinary, but topic is multidisciplinary, where doctor from Russia like Soham, physicist from Ukraine, pharmacologist from Nigeria, Buddhist monk from Sri Lanka, along with other 4,000 scholars from worldwide, joined together in one forum for open dialogue. I hope in future we will organize more dialogues on this utmost important topic and you all will enrich us. Thank you and welcome.
Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Professor Dr. Swaran Singh, Center for International Politics, Organization Disarmament, School of International Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Harshita. Thank you, Nandini, for inviting me into this program. Honorable Srimati Rekha Sharma ji, Professor Alka Parikh, my other colleagues on the podium, and people who have come to attend this program from all over the country. I am always amazed by the energy of Dr. Nandini Basistha to be able to collect so many people, and this time I noticed there is a whole session on books. These are either proposed books or these are books that are already published on human security. To bring out that size of large number of publications is very impressive in terms of outcome of any such exercise. I understand many of participants will be joining online in hybrid mode. I understand that maybe some of them are already with us listening to the proceedings that we are having now. I will briefly touch upon what is happening to the broader area of security. Life is transforming in all sectors, whichever sector you focus on, whether it is poetry or surgery or economy, geography, all sectors are constantly evolving. So you must have often heard, change is the only permanent reality in human universe. And the singular most powerful force or factor that pushes for this constant change is technology. And technology is always value free. It is the creators, it is the owners of technology who determine whether to make technologies more destructive or make technologies more constructive. So value addition is a social phenomenon to any technology. But unfolding of technology is an unstoppable juggernaut and there is no escaping it. I sometimes tell young students, there are things that are beyond our control. For example, all of us human beings have our own stories. There is no human being who does not have his or her own stories in mind. And stories have often inspired fiction. And fiction, to cut it very short, I want to be almost telegraphic, fiction sometimes leads to all kinds of imaginations, and when imaginations are pursued very seriously in a logical fashion, then that leads to philosophy, which is also called mother of sciences. Philosophy leads to science, science leads to technology. I am determining the whole sequence of where technology comes in, which pushes for change. When technology comes in, it has to be massified. No idea of science will survive unless it is useful for everyone, or at least large number of people, which is done through turning idea of science into technology, and technology changes our lives. For example, in old 50, 30, 40 years back, we used to pick up the phone and we will know who on the other side is picking up the phone, where that person could be sitting, even imagining what that person could be wearing. And we always greeted by saying good morning, good afternoon, namaste. Now we live in a cell phone world. So our values have changed. Our greetings have changed. Now we say, where are you? Or we say, can I speak to you? So when our values change, not basic values, but how we operationalize values. When our method of operationalizing values change, our fiction changes. And the cycle continues. Fiction, philosophy, science, technology. Technology leads to new ways of life, new fiction, new science, new philosophy. So in security as well, to come to the point, our imaginations of security have constantly changed thanks to constant unfolding of new technologies. In ancient times, most of you are familiar with the Mongol Empire. Mongol Empire was the first large global empire, which was achieved on a horseback. And revolution was discovery of stirrup. Stirrup is the place where we put our feet when we sit on the horse. When horseman had access to stirrup, not only his balance on the horse changed, his hands were now free. That leads to first revolution in security, both in terms of hunting and war. Run back now, much fast forward, we move to Industrial Revolution. Germans for the first time produced rapid fire weapons. You hear of AK-47 now, AK-56. Discovery of rapid fire weapons separated hunting from war. You could not use a rapid fire weapon to kill an animal which you wanted to eat. Now, weapons of war and weapons of hunting became different. So one can go on talking about how, let's say, Leonardo da Vinci had imagined flying machines in, I think, 1480. And the flying machines appeared in First World War in 1920s. Imaginations lead to science and technology, and that changes our life. So whether it is submarines, aeroplanes, main battle tanks, our imaginations of national security in 20th century were very war-centric. War was the only time we thought of security. And after war, we wanted to create peace. But we are now in 21st century. Our imagination of both security and peace is very different. Today, world is so interconnected, world is so interdependent that in 20th century, most of the new technologies were result of either First World War or Second World War or Cold War. So war is the context in which new technologies arrived. So most of new technologies were imagined to be destructive. In 21st century, that mindset still impacts how we imagine security. The most recent debate, in fact, last month, Foreign Minister Dr. Jaishankar was delivering Air Commodore Jasjit Singh Memorial Lecture. Air Commodore Jasjit Singh is a big name in security. And he said, today we are debating about artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence could potentially prove to be as game-changing as nuclear revolution was. So I want to just in 5 minutes speak about this whole debate on convergence of artificial intelligence and nuclear weapons, which is how global security is going to be impacted upon. Because security now is really widespread, from environmental security to social security to political security, economic security. Focus on nuclear weapons has perhaps reduced. Climate change has become a bigger issue now. But nuclear weapons are still there. And now if artificial intelligence is going to be converged with nuclear weapons, imagine what could happen in future. We had atomic weapons, and then we have nuclear weapons, then we had thermonuclear weapons. Now we are adding artificial intelligence to nuclear weapons. So the same 20th century fear-minded imagination is driving our approach to whether artificial intelligence should have convergence with nuclear weapons. Last year, US Congress was debating for about 3 months about legislating on ban of use of AI in case of nuclear weapons or nuclear establishments. When legislation was not possible, President Joe Biden issued an executive order that use of AI should be banned when it comes to nuclear establishments. US considers China as the most important challenge, and therefore in their negotiation with Chinese, they added this on the agenda that artificial intelligence should be banned from any use in nuclear weapons. In November last year, President Joe Biden met Chinese President Xi Jinping in San Francisco along with the APEC summit. This issue was discussed, how to evolve ban on use of artificial intelligence into nuclear weapons. This month on 10th in South Korea, there was a summit meeting of 100 nations who signed a draft agreement banning use of artificial intelligence on nuclear weapons. China was attending. China did not sign that agreement. So there is a whole paranoia, fear-driven approach to disallowing use of artificial intelligence in nuclear weapons. That has resulted in August last month, there is a nuclear non-proliferation treaty which has every 5 years review conference. And every year during the 5 years there is a preparatory committee meeting. It's called PrepCom. So PrepCom for the 2026 review conference in August held a meeting in Geneva. And entire discussion continued to be focused on this concern about artificial intelligence convergence with nuclear weapons. And there were calls that the P5, which is permanent 5 in UN Security Council, which are also nuclear weapon states under NPT, they should start a P5 process to ensure this ban of artificial intelligence in nuclear establishment. Now, why I keep saying is this fear-driven approach is because this fear-driven approach has virtually impacted, halted great powers' efforts in focusing on arms control, on disarmament, on safety, security, safeguards of nuclear weapons. which are still there. In fact, China is expanding its number of nuclear weapons. And if you believe Americans, China will have more nuclear weapons than either Russia or United States by 2030. Now that is not getting enough attention because whole focus has shifted to disconnecting artificial intelligence from nuclear arsenals. How does India see it? In fact, last month only, there is another major report of people from Canada, UK and US. And these are nuclear regulatory commissions of these three states who have brought out a scientific approach driven report to say artificial intelligence can help provide safety, security, safeguards to nuclear weapons. Artificial intelligence can protect people who are getting exposed to nuclear accidents or overdose of radiation and so on. Artificial intelligence can save miscalculations, misinformation. It can produce more accurate assessments. Of course, convergence of artificial intelligence into nuclear weapons would mean that your efficiency will increase along with accuracy, and therefore the time for decision making for humans will be further restricted. Now that concern is genuine, that maybe some nations will be tempted to automate the whole process of detection, targeting and launch of counterattacks. So what we call second strike could become much more vulnerable in nuclear scenarios. But many other countries, including India, are convinced that like any technology in human history, artificial intelligence also has positive side, constructive side. And India has been using artificial intelligence to build new synergies in India's conventional weapons and of course nuclear weapons. In fact, neighboring Pakistan also has similar exercise going on there. Chinese have similar exercise going on there. In fact, recently when Prime Minister was in US, India became member of the Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence. India last year held a summit on global summit on artificial intelligence. So some of these other nations are pushing the idea that you should not throw, as we say, baby with the bath water. There is a positive side of artificial intelligence. One can look at to make nuclear weapons much more predictable, much more safe, secure, and ensure that no knee-jerk reaction pushes to any counter-attack by mistake, by imagining that they are under attack. So in that sense, India and some nations are debating as to what are the issues that should be foremost issues in debating convergence of artificial intelligence and nuclear weapons. Who are the countries that should be debating these issues? For example, India is not seen as a nuclear weapon state under NPT, but India, Pakistan are nuclear weapon states. Should they be also part of these discussions? So fundamentally, nations like India are pushing that one should be more scientific, pragmatic, rather than only fiction-driven fears. Many of us have perhaps seen many Hollywood films. In 1991, I think there was a Hollywood film called The Terminator 2, in which they showcase that the global net develops self-awareness. You have seen many of these movies where robots develop emotions and so on. In reality, artificial intelligence can answer few questions as of now, layman's questions. Artificial intelligence has not as yet reached of self-awareness, of thinking by itself. That's only fiction. So fiction can inspire, fiction need not be always misguiding, but fiction cannot drive our decisions. Worst case imaginations cannot drive our decisions how to incorporate new technologies into our everyday life. Many of you are using, for example, ChatGPT. Many students in my universities use it. I call it over-enthusiastic young intern. Nothing more than that. ChatGPT cannot replace our task as of now. It can only replace the most mundane task. So I call ChatGPT as the most enthusiastic, because it is very efficient, most enthusiastic young intern who will gain wisdom maybe over next 50 years. Maybe. Not all young interns gain wisdom in next 50 years. So the focus that countries like India have is that artificial intelligence has so many constructive and positive contributions to make. And when it comes to a limited area of nuclear weapons, India is a nuclear weapon state, we should explore how artificial intelligence can make predictability more reliable, usability more reliable, safety, security, safeguard more reliable, and banning it would actually mean that the rogue states, say North Korea, which is not part of the scheme of things, could be going ahead and doing that convergence, which will become disadvantage to major countries like United States, Russia, China, France, Britain, India, Israel, Pakistan, and so on, which are nuclear weapon states. So that I thought was a kind of current frontier debate on how global security is being imagined. Of course, I have seen several papers discussing from child security to environment security to cyberbullying, and there's a whole spectrum of things that today are seen as part and parcel of how we imagine security. Security is no longer something that is only physical security. It's not only that happens only on the borders, it happens in our everyday life. In fact, feminist discourse, I'm aware of the majority of women on the podium. Feminist discourse has itself transformed our understanding of security. So I wanted to only focus on a limited frontier debate on where security is going in terms of convergence of artificial intelligence and nuclear technologies. I'll stop here, and I look forward to these 2 days of presentations, and I hope I'll get access to either listening to you online or reading your papers later. But a very impressive menu of large number of papers, including a very special session on books, which I have not seen in any conference before. My best wishes to the conference and to all the speakers who have come from all over India, and of course from, I think, neighboring countries. Also, I see there's a group of people from, scholars from Bangladesh are here. So best wishes, and my compliments again to both Harshita and Nandini Vishesha. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for enlightening us on your insights on security, ChatGPT. It was indeed relatable. So thank you so much for that. Now I invite Dr. Nandini Vishisht to present the gift, memento and conference kit to Dr. Swaran, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would like to invite our inaugural addressee, the co-convener of the conference, Professor Aurora Martin, a distinguished professor at V. Brusov University and a former professor at the Oriental Institute of Vatican. She serves as the Vice President of the International Institute of Human Security and Honorary President of the Humanity for All. We are so delighted to have your presence, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Let me start by congratulating all the organizers, and especially its Professor Dr. Nandini Basistha, which I know since the very first edition of the International Conference on Human Security and Good Governance. Then please allow me to start my presentation with commemorating a tragical event from last year. Last year, because we are very close of commemorating this tragical event next week. Last year, on 7 October 2023, many young people, like the majority of you present here to the conference, were attending a music festival in Israel. It was Nova Music Festival. On 7 October 2023, at 6:30 in the morning, Hamas and several other Palestinian nationalist militant groups launched coordinated army incursions from the Gaza Strip into the Gaza envelope of southern Israel, the first invasion of Israeli territory since the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. The attacks on 7 October included both civilian and military targets, both civilian and military victims. In total, 1,139 people were killed, 695 Israeli civilians, including 38 children, 78 foreign nationals, and 373 members of security forces. 364 civilians were killed, and many more wounded while attending this Nova Music Festival. About 250 Israeli civilians and soldiers were taken as hostages to the Gaza Strip, alive or dead, and including 30 children, with a stated goal to force Israel to exchange them for imprisoned Palestinians, including women and children. Thousands of cases of rape and sexual assault reportedly occurred, but Hamas officials denied the involvement of their fighters. Well, the governments of 44 countries denounced the attack and described it as displaying Israel's occupation of the Palestinian territories as the root cause of the attack. The open conflict between Israel and Iran is bringing the mankind today closer than ever to the Third World War. That's why it's so important to have this conference, this kind of conference, to talk about human security and about good governance. We are engaged testimonies in the changing face of global violence. In the First World War, only 5% of civilians were victims. In the Second World War, 50% of civilians were victims. During the conflict in the former Yugoslavia, however, which occurred during the decade of 90s, the percentage of civilian victims became even more pronounced. In the Civil War, the civilian victims surprisingly rose to 90% of casualties. These realities show a changing face of global violence. In the light of this statistical data, it's easy to see the shift in victims' typology from trained soldiers to innocent civilian population. The last 100 years, more people were killed by their own government than by foreign armies. The human security approach provides a new way of thinking about the range of challenges the world faces in the 21st century and how the global community responds to them. For many people, today's world is an insecure place, full of threats on many fronts: natural disasters, violent conflict, chronic and persistent poverty, health pandemics, international terrorism, and sudden economic and financial downturns impose significant hardship and undercut prospects from sustainable development, peace, and stability. Such crises are complex, entailing multiple forms of human insecurity. When insecurities overlap, they can grow exponentially, spiraling into all aspects of people's lives, destroying entire communities and crossing national borders. Most of today's development of humanitarian challenges arise from multiple factors that are interconnected and mutually reinforcing. The human security approach is based practically on 5 fundamental principles that differentiate it from simply working together. These are people-centric, comprehensive, context-specific, prevention-oriented, protection, and empowerment. These require greater integration of activities across in partnership with others. For people in crisis and extreme poverty, acting on single issues is not enough. Insecurity must be taken together, comprehensively. Only then will people begin to feel safe in all aspects of their lives, have the income and opportunity to attain well-being, and know that their rights and dignity are fully respected. Only then will they enjoy human security. The Agenda 2030 underscored that an integrated sustainable development agenda requires an equally synergistic framework for its implementation, and that a truly sustainable development agenda must be inclusive and people-centric. Echoing the human security approach, Agenda 2030 calls for development strategies that result in more resilient society, where people are safe from chronic threats such as poverty, hunger, disease, violence, and repression, and protect from sudden disruption in their daily lives. Human security approach is a crucial ingredient to achieve sustainable development. The right of people to live in freedom and dignity should be respected, free from poverty and despair. All individuals, in particular vulnerable people, are entitled to freedom from fear, freedom from want, with an equal opportunity to enjoy all their rights and fully develop their human potential. Human security calls for people-centered, comprehensive, context-specific, and prevention-oriented response that strengthens the protection and empowerment of people and all communities. Human security recognizes the interlinkage between peace, development, and human security, human rights, and equally considers civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights. Human security does not entail the threat or use of force or coercive measures, but human security does not replace state security. Government retains the primary role and responsibility for ensuring the survival, livelihood, and dignity of their citizens. The role of the international community is to complement and provide the necessary support to governments upon their request, so as to strengthen their capacity to respond to current and emerging threats. Human security requires greater collaboration and partnership among governments, international and regional organizations, and civil society. That's why good governance becomes crucial. I will not define good governance. There will be many speakers today to define good governance. And I don't want to bring a scholastic academic definition. I would try in few words to tell you what is not good governance, what is bad governance. The problem of bad governance arises as a result of decision-making between the ruling and those who are being ruled. External circumstances or decisions such as violation of central or accepted norms, such as liberal democracy and poor economic policy, generate this unfavorable relationship. Bad governance refers to government-level administration, although loosey and loosey governments are different. Corruption, deception, and the adoption of unfair policies are all examples of bad governance. As a result, other expressions of inadequate management have varying degrees of severity and potential influence in their respective settings. Bad governance refers to how decisions are made in government and business. It is all the polar opposite of good leadership. Bad governance entails systemic corruption and a lack of openness and accountability, arbitrary policy making, and the deception of those who are ruled. According to the World Bank indicators for governance, these are voice and accountability, rule of law, regulatory quality, control of corruption, governance effectiveness. If you take a look in the conference program for today and tomorrow, you will see that many guests, many speakers, many distinguished speakers, many scholars will talk about all of this. That's why I will stop here and I will give the floor to the other guests of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aurora ma'am. Ma'am really wanted to join us offline, but unfortunately ma'am is suffering from severe COVID with pneumonia. So we wish you healthy recovery, ma'am, and thank you so much for your insights on interconnectedness between human security and sustainable development goals. So it's really enlightening for us. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our Honorable Chief Guest, Srimati Rekha Sharma ma'am, former Chairperson of the National Commission for Women, led initiatives to promote gender equality, economic empowerment and digital literacy. We are honored to have you here, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Dr. Swaran, dignitaries on the dais, Dr. Nandini, who insisted that I should be here. I left NCW in August, and from August only I was given work in Haryana elections. So from the commission to the election, it was a big change for me, and I think now I'm feeling like I'm back in my own space where I feel little convenient. We are talking about human security, and women's security is part of human security and good governance. In NCW, we were and we are working on women's security. And where Dr. Swaran was talking about global safety and global security, let me tell you, women are even unsafe inside their homes. So when we are talking about global safety, security, we must talk about the safety of women inside the house, on the streets, security online. Cyber security is a big problem we are facing in this world. We all know that the safety and security is fundamental right. But when a girl is born, especially in the countries like India, we face the discrimination from our birth itself. In fact, people don't want us, even the parents don't want a girl to be born. And even in the homes, she faces discrimination. She's not safe and secure in the womb of the mother. Even the women, even the mother doesn't want, then the struggle starts after the birth. During my tenure in NCW, I have seen the women facing many problems. One is social security or discrimination. Economical security, security in economy is another issue which women are facing. We don't have independence in economy. Women, most of the women in India, only 12% to 13% women are working. So you can see rest of the women don't have, they are not earning even. We are not safe in the cyber world. So I started my work with all these 3-4 in all these spheres, especially when I talk about social security. So we started it from home, how women should be safe and secure inside their homes. So we started awareness programs all over India. Changing the mindset of people is a very big problem, and this security and safety of women can only be tackled if we change the mindset of the people. And during these days, when all the laws are being strengthened, we all are talking about women breaking glass ceiling. There are women all over, whether it is in army or anywhere, women scientists, pilots, everywhere. But then why women are not safe inside their homes? Do we have any mantra where we can change the word in a Wi-Fi and change this society? It is not so. So we have to start it from the scratch. We have to start talking about how we think about women. Inside your house also, when a girl is born and a boy is born, how we treat a girl differently than a boy. That problem starts from there. We all know that when a boy is born, he is given everything on the platter. And girl has to struggle for each and everything. And I'm not talking about people who are sitting here, who are educated. Even in some educated family, it is so. But mostly in the rural background, in some small towns, we women and girls, young girls, still face discrimination inside the families. Boys are never taught how to respect women, how to make them feel safe inside the families. And let me tell you, if you see the data of the rape, 70% rapes are done by the family members, whether it's father, brother, any relative, or a family friend. And when we are talking about safety for or law and order situation, it is only after things happen. When the crime happens, then the law and order takes place, or judiciary comes into action. But how we have to control this safety and security of women, it is only when we talk inside our families, we make our boys aware of what are the needs of a girl or a woman, and how we need to change their thinking, especially the thinking of men and boys, and also the women. When I'm talking about gender discrimination, it is not only about men, because women are also part of it. It is inside our DNA that we think that we are weak. Women always think that they are weak. And because it is coming from generation to generation to generation, and we pass on to another generation, it will take some time if we start from today and talk about these things and these problems. When I'm talking about the mindset, the police is also part of the society, and I saw in NCW, when women they go to complain to the police, first thing is they look at the women who have come for the complaint. तुम इतनी रात में गई क्या करने थी, तुमने ये कपड़े पहने क्यों, तुम पब में क्यों बैठी थी. So from there the questioning starts. So she goes to a police station to complain, but she becomes a victim of the police also, because police also somewhere they have learned the same things. They are also human beings, and they are part of the society. So we started in NCW, we started gender discrimination, gender courses for the police. How they have to gender sensitize themselves to not discriminate women from men. So we started from Haryana, because in Haryana, you know the society is such that we saw in last 10 years things are changing, but before that we saw that even the percentage of a girl child was less than the boys. So we started this gender sensitization course from Haryana, and then we did in all the states across a nation. We sensitize police that when a woman complainant comes to them, how they need to tackle them. Later on, we signed MOU with BPRND, and we did many such courses with all the police officials. In police, IO is the first connect point, investigation officer, and I have seen all the cases are being botched up by the IOs because they are not trained properly how to handle the courses. So we started forensic courses for them. We started many such courses where they can take care of the cases properly. We started I'm talking about economic safety and security, we started training for women how they can earn their own livelihood. So whether it is the courses in IM, that how they can skill themselves, and how they can be entrepreneur. Whether she is only a 10th pass or 12th pass, she can start her own small company or industry from home itself. So we designed many courses for them. And let me tell you, before me, NCW was not doing such things. NCW was known that it is only working for the complaints. But I started thinking that I need to work in the area where I need to strengthen them, so that they should tackle their own problems and should not come to NCW. So that's how we designed these economic empowerment courses for them. We designed a course for the college going girls where small training was giving how to write their resume, how to face the interview. So because women, girls especially coming from middle class, they don't know how to face the interview. They have all the capability, but they are not confident enough to face interviews, the body language. So small little courses we started running through NCW, collaborating with different institutes. We worked very closely with all the universities across India. We gave special attention to Northeast, because women from Northeast, though they are very smart, but needed hand-holding for them. So across India we did many things with women, so that we strengthen their capability. Digital empowerment is another thing which NCW did. And as I was talking about, cyber safety and security is a big problem these days. So we wanted to make women and young girls aware how they can be safe online. With a course specially designed for them with the help of Meta, we started talking and training women across India in all the colleges. And by the time I left NCW, we trained more than 5 lakh young girls on how to be safe online. Then we started training them how they can earn money online, like they can sell their products. Even during Corona, you must have seen how women have come up when they were losing jobs, especially their husbands were losing jobs. Women came up and they started earning through these, whether they are selling their product online on Facebook or Instagram. So we started training homemakers in these courses how they can do earning through these social media platforms. During Corona, when the world was sitting at home, NCW was working round the clock. We saw that domestic violence increased during days across the world, not only in India. And when I noticed that, we started a 24/7 helpline where women can just WhatsApp us, because during those days they were logged in with the perpetrators, with their husbands who were beating them or abusing them. So they could just go to WhatsApp and write a line to us and send the address, and we were able to send the police to their homes and help them out. They wanted to come and go to their family's house, their parents' house. We arranged everything for them. So then we saw that the expecting mothers were not getting health benefits. Because of Corona, they were apprehensive about many things. There were so many things, whether the child will be safe inside the womb or not, whether the child will contact the Corona. So we started a helpline specially for expecting mothers, and it was also working 24/7. That was appreciated across the nation. And we got help from even Amitabh Bachchan, Priyanka Chopra, and you name it. And you can go to the Twitter and you can see how they were helping us all. So we could save many expecting mothers during that time. And after that, we started getting the pictures of those newly born children. And that was, I think, it was the highest point of my work in NCW. And I loved that work so much, because we could not save only the life of mother, but the life of a child also. So many new things, new initiatives. I can speak on and on about those initiatives. But why we need to work specially for women? Why? And many men question us, why not commission for men? But let me tell you, we should have commission till the point where women are not being treated equally. The time when women are being treated equally, they are safe, secure, and they have equal opportunity in the world. We don't need any kind of special commission. And we should work for that kind of society, so that the society should be gender-free society. I always used to say that I am working towards a time when there is no commission needed. And till then, I think we need to handhold women. We need to protect our girl children, not only physically, but also from cyber crime. We need to handhold women to come up and earn their own livelihood. Till then, the commissions will be there. We all need to handhold them. Not only the commission. Commission is very small point. It has to come from the family, and as I said, that we need to change the mindset of the families. We all have to be part of that change. Only then the world will be better for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
9 years.
Our feelings are beyond words, because whatever you just said was so relatable for all of us. And as Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. And this is exactly you had put up, and we are highly inspired by your work, and we really hope that we can contribute at least 1% to women's security and women empowerment. So thank you for that. Now I invite Renuka Shyam Narayan ma'am, Research Assistant and Research Analyst, to present the gift, memento and conference kit to Srimati Rekha Sharma ma'am. Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Please join me in welcoming the esteemed member speaker, Mr. Saroj Mahapatra, ex-officio member, secretary and executive director at Pradan, New Delhi, India. Currently the executive director of Pradan, a voluntary organization working to improve livelihoods in India's poorest state. He has over 26 years of experience in rural development. He has led major projects on irrigation and climate-resilient infrastructure in Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, collaborating with agencies like IFAD, UNICEF. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, IIHSG team, respected dignitaries, Rekha ma'am and other dignitaries on the dais. It's a great privilege and opportunity to share my experience before us. And I think this is a very important topic, the human security and governance. So when we talk about the human security, mainly our experience is that like livelihood security is very much linked with this. And at the same time, ma'am has already shared about the gender discrimination and gender-based interventions in the National Women Commission actually. So let me share an example actually. When we in Pradan mainly work in the rural areas in the Central India tribal region. So when before 15 years when I visited some of the villages, so there when I asked the women like what is your identity and then how do you perceive yourself, so they said like we are doing the agricultural labor work and I am a labor actually. So then we further discussed with her and then over a period of time she could realize that 70% of the household work and the 70% of the agricultural work is being done by her actually. So then she could identify herself as a farmer actually. So from labor to a farmer. Then over a period of time, again the production and productivity when they increased, then she realized that yes, she is a producer actually. And then the production and productivity increases by the scientific package of practices. And then she could realize that like I can link to the market and then I become the entrepreneur actually. So this is the transformation of a woman that we are looking for actually, like starting from a wage labor to a farmer to a producer to an entrepreneur actually. So we are working very closely with the National Rural Livelihood Mission where near about 100 million have been women were mobilized into the self-help groups, the village organizations and the cluster level federations. So our experience of working with the program like NRLM has been like these SSGs gives us a very good platform where the gender-based discrimination, the financial security, the social security have been taken care of actually. And then these groups, the social mobilization gives us a very good platform where the livelihood interventions are taking place in a very large scale. So I would like to show a very small videos depicting the stories of change in the rural areas. So this video is from West Bengal actually. It's a 5-minute clip. So we can see the video actually. You can run the video.
But not long ago, these lush fields were the past. The undulating topography led to runoff and soil degradation, and slowly the land became barren. The tribal population dependent on it for subsistence agriculture and forest produce was driven to poverty. The problem of securing livelihoods and restoring ecology at the same time was complex.
In 2017, the government of West Bengal launched one of the nation's largest watershed initiatives, Ushar Mukti, sanitation from barrenness in 6 western districts. A collaboration with DRLF and set of civil society organizations is aimed to restore the land through the effective implementation of MGN REGS. Whatever we do, we achieve certain arms, but there is no complete whole. So, to achieve that complete whole properly, we needed a different kind of an approach. And this is where the civil society organizations come in a very deep. Given the scope of the project, it requires proper planning and management to be successful. Therefore, in 2019, Hindustan Unilever Foundation supported Pradan, a lead partner of the consortium, to take on the role of a core project management unit for the program. Ushar Mukti is a great example of improving regional water security through an active private sector, NGO and government partnership. যে ব্লক অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশনে কিছু অত ম্যান পাওয়ার নেই, কীভাবে এইটাকে চ্যালেঞ্জটাকে মোকাবিলা করা যাবে সেই সাকসেসফুলি প্রদান করেছে। প্রদান সব থেকে মোবিলাইজ করেছে গ্লোবাল লেভেলে যে মোবিলাইজেশন, সেইটা কিন্তু খুব ভালোভাবে করা হয়েছে। যে কাজগুলি ছিল সেটা মূলত এই ল্যান্ড ডেভেলপমেন্ট, ল্যান্ড ট্রিটমেন্ট, তারপর ওয়াটার হারভেস্টিং স্ট্রাকচার এবং অন্যান্য সয়েল কনজারভেশন, ময়েশ্চার কনজারভেশন এই কাজগুলো ছিল। এবং মূল উদ্দেশ্য ছিল এই কাজগুলোর মাধ্যমে ল্যান্ডকে ডেভেলপ করা এবং একই সঙ্গে মানুষের যে লাইভলিহুড, তার লাইভলিহুড অপশনসকে বাড়ানো এবং তার লাইভলিহুডের উপর যে একটা পজিটিভ ইম্প্যাক্ট হয়। Pradan played a crucial advisory role in bridging the critical gaps in policy and implementation, such as helping partners develop detailed project reports. These outline all the water conservation works leading to the creation of long-term water harvesting assets that the communities use to secure agriculture.
আমাদের এই কাজটা করতে গিয়ে গ্রাসরুটের ক্ষেত্রে যথেষ্ট সীমিত দক্ষতা ছিল, কারণ সরকারের সিস্টেমের মধ্যে ঢুকে তাদের সাথে একসাথে কাজ করা এবং আমাদের মতো আরো 5টি পিএসওর সাথে একসাথে কাজ করা, সেটার খুব অভিজ্ঞতা যে গ্রাসরুটের ছিল এমনটা নয়। ওটাকে সহযোগিতায়, সহায়তায় আমরা কিন্তু সেই দক্ষতা অর্জন করি এবং উষার মুক্তি প্রকল্প রূপায়ণের ক্ষেত্রে কাজ করতে পারি।
An important aspect of Ushar Mukti is livelihood development, especially empowering the women to take ownership of the assets they helped create.
এই সমস্ত গ্রামীণ মহিলাদের মাধ্যমে কিন্তু ক্লাস্টার তৈরি করে সেই ক্লাস্টাররাই যে সমস্ত অ্যাসেটগুলো বা যে সমস্ত সম্পদগুলো 100 দিনের এই প্রকল্পের মাধ্যমে বিভিন্ন গ্রামে তৈরি হয়েছে এবং সেই সম্পদগুলো থেকে তারা কিন্তু আজকে জীবিকা নির্বাহের রাস্তা খুঁজে পেয়েছেন। এখানে আমাদের যখন পাহাড়ে কিছু ছিল না, প্রথমে যারা ছিল কিন্তু এবার উষামুক্তি বলে থেকে আমাদের তারা কিংবা ছাত্রী মডেল করানোর জন্য আমাদের এই গাছগুলো কিন্তু এখন দেখতে পাচ্ছেন বল, এখানে কিন্তু এই জন্য আমরা গাছকে বাঁচাতে পেরেছি। আর এই যে চাষ জমি দেখছেন এখানে কিন্তু এই চাষও আমরা করতে পারছি। তো এখানে আবার এই যে ঘাস দেখছেন, এই ঘাসও ছিল না, আমাদের গরু আছে কিছু থাকতো না, এখানে গরু মানুষে দাঁড়াতো না। আর এখন দেখুন এখানে গরু আগে আবার গরু বাড়ি যেতে চায় না।
Ushar Mukti has achieved much more than what it set out to do. The reason for this success is a collaborative approach between the government, civil society and community. The land is restored and the people have taken charge of conserving water and managing their assets. We have indeed achieved much more than freedom from barrenness. They have shown the way to the rest of the country. By the development of which double cropping area অনেকটা বেড়েছে, প্রায় 47,000 হেক্টর, additional plantation হচ্ছে 40,000 হেক্টর, water harvesting structure 59,000.
So this is a small stories of change of West Bengal, and similar stories have been there in other states also. So let me share the experience actually, like what are the learning of this type of work actually. Like when we talk about the governance and the human security, actually we are talking about the change in the human condition, change in the mindset of the people actually. So my previous speaker has already said about what are the change in the mindset of the people and how this can be done actually. So to do the change in the human condition, it requires a change in the being level change. I mean the change in the mindset, and change in the doing level, and change at the knowledge level actually. So being, doing and knowing. So these are the three aspects where we are talking about the changes. And to do this in a very large scale in the rural areas, because in the context of India, it's 70% of the households are residing in the rural areas. So decentralized community actions is the key actually. I mean, when we are talking about the community-centric approach, and when the community is taking charge of the entire initiative, then that initiative is going to sustain in a very long run. And to do that, we need to ensure that the bottom-up planning is to be ensured, like the communities are involved in the very beginning, and especially the women members, where so when we talk about the livelihoods, we talk about the livelihood security. It's not only about the income actually, it's about the aspiration of the rural poor and the opportunities available in the rural areas, the assets that we are creating in the rural areas, and the capabilities actually, capabilities of the rural women actually. So in fact, in our approach, basically what we have experienced is like, whenever we talk about livelihoods, livelihood security, and the local governance play a very important role. The panchayat is the the local governance is the panchayat actually. Panchayat CBO collaboration can be takes place in a very large scale, and the partnership between the civil society organizations, government, donor agencies, and the community, that is very critical to do this in a very large scale actually, and to ensure the sustainability. Otherwise, the once the government is not there or the government support is not there, then the interventions won't sustain actually. And obviously the community stewardship in the context of the rural India, it's very critical. And working with government and partnership with the like-minded CSOs, donor, again that is to be ensured actually. And we have experienced that whenever that locus of initiative is from the community collectives, then that interventions are sustaining in a very large, in a long run. And over a period of last 41 years of existence of Pradan actually. So I represent Pradan, and Pradan is the national level NGO. And we are working with near about 2.83 million households across 9 states in India, mainly in the Central India tribal region. So we experienced is like, when we talk about the human security, so livelihood is an integral part of that actually. And livelihood security, we talk about the 5A framework, like what are the asset base that household is having. I mean that women might be some of the assets actually, whether that is pump set or irrigation asset or sprinkler irrigation, so like that. Second is the what is the income they are having actually, that access to various flagship program. Like if we talk about the rights and entertainment like PDS, MGNRGS, Forest Right Act, so these are the very much social security schemes, and how the people are accessing these in a very large scale actually. So access to various flagship program, that is the second part. Third is the ability of the people to do this in a very large scale. So this talks about the mindset of the people, changing the mindset of the individual actually. And to do this transformation, we believe that like people has the ability to change their own life, and we need to trigger that transformational journey. And to do that, I think CSOs and the CBOs, that community-based organizations, can play a very larger role. And fourth A is the attitude of that individual actually. And fifth is the assurance, like assurance from the government or assurance from the different institutions. So that is very critical. So I think when we talk about security, so this 5A framework, I think we can see this from a very different perspective. And this security and governance, these are very critical issues. So here we are talking about the 3E framework, like One is this economic level changes. I mean the rural economy, what is the changes in the household income level, what is the changes in the household asset level, what is the changes in the capability of the individual households. So this is number one. And second is when we talk about the program like Usar Mukti or watershed or natural resource management based approach, so taking the landscape into considerations, what is the changes at the ecology level. And third is what Ma'am has already said, what is the changes at the equity level actually. So gender equality and how to make these SHGs or the women gender sensitive and gender responsive organization of women. And over a period of time we have seen like the women SHGs were promoted in a very large scale, and with the handholding support, these SHGs can play a very large role in the managing the local governance and working very closely with the panchayat and transforming their own lives actually. So we have seen that, and I think this type of consultation would give us a very good opportunity to share our experience, and there are many speakers I believe, and I think over a period of next 2 days, so this workshop would definitely give us a very good understanding of human security and governance. And I wish all the very, very best to the organizing team. And thank you, Dr. Nandini, for inviting me. And I think though there were some technical glitch, and I have already uploaded some of the videos. So if time permits, that the rest of the videos can be played in between. Yeah, thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you so much, sir. We truly honor your work, especially which contributes to curb one of the most precedented atrocities in the world right now, the barren land and water conservation. Now I would like to invite Ananya Harad, social activist and content creator, to present a gift to Mr. Saroj.
Thank you so much, sir. Well, now it is my pleasure to introduce and invite a highly esteemed academic professor, Alka Parikh, the director of Center for Field Learning, Ahmedabad, India. Ma'am focuses on field-based research in health, environment, and livelihoods to advance human welfare. Her work emphasizes compassion and equality, engaging university students, faculty, and civil society in impactful research. She has contributed to policy formulation at the national level and consulted for governments, NGOs and corporates, while also being a popular teacher and trainer. We are excited to hear from you, ma'am. We welcome you.
Thank you so much to all of you, especially Professor Nandini Basistha, for inviting me to give this talk. I have been associated with Dr. Basistha for all the editions of IIHSG till now in various capacities. So I have seen how it has grown, and I'm very proud to see how beautifully she always manages it. So thank you so much for inviting us, and thank you so much for organizing such conferences. Yeah. So today I'm going to be talking about a subject, if you can put it up, because it has come. The first slide. Yes. Oh, the first slide is not there. Oh, sorry. I think something happened. Okay, then you just go over to the second slide. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about something which is about the MDGs and SDGs. You have heard about it. The UN has declared the Sustainable Development Goals and the Millennium Development Goals. So I'm just going to tell you something about them and going a step further also from there. So the first thing, I mean, we call ourselves a human civilization. A civilization is a place where the civil people live civilly, right? That means that you are civil to everybody who is there in your civilization. What that means is that if you are actually civil to everybody, you would not allow some people to go hungry. You will not allow some kind of violence to happen. You will not allow any kind of wars to go on. You are civil to each other. Okay? So, to enable ourselves to actually be a civilization is something that the MDGs and SDGs actually wanted to concentrate upon. And so, as I have written, it was with such ideas that MDGs were created. To define and measure the progress of the world towards the goals that lead to the stage of higher human security. So basically, you are trying to make your society more civil. You are trying to ensure dignity of life to every citizen. And how do you achieve it? So UN shows you the way, that this is how you achieve it. Here are the indicators. Now how, as a country, you are doing on it. And if you are doing poorly, they will relentlessly, cruelly, and clearly tell that this is the nation which is not doing its job well. And the whole world will know. That is how the MDGs were defined. That is how they wanted to achieve their goals. Okay, so MDG were there for 15 years, but not all the goals could be finished in that 15 years. So then they decided that let's declare SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. So SDGs were declared to finish whatever MDG could not finish. But they said that's not enough. There is so much that MDG did not cover. So let's cover more ground. So SDGs decided to cover far more ground compared to MDGs. Okay, so that's how we have MDGs and SDGs. Next slide, please. So, did it help? The UN though declared MDGs and SDGs, but did it actually help the world? That such indicators are given by United Nations. What we find is that the indicators actually improved considerably as far as MDG period was concerned. 63% of the targets, which is not a joke, 63% of the targets were either achieved or overachieved. Okay, they did more than what they thought they would do. So MDGs were a success. So naturally, as I said, when they did SDG, they got very ambitious. And they said, we can do this also and we can do that also. And so, if we see the progress of SDGs, we are at half time frame. 15 years में से 7 years गुजर चुके हैं. So in those 7 years, where have we reached? 65% of the targets are not achieved. We are slow on the progress, or we have made no progress at all. शुरुआत बहुत जोरों से की. So we did like very good work and we achieved a lot, but then it came down. So that's what happened as far as the SDGs were concerned. SDGs had 169 targets. Now, 169 targets are not very easy to achieve for any nation. So it's not actually much of a surprise that we could not achieve much. I think that maybe we became over-ambitious. Yeah? Next slide, please. Yeah, so let me just tell you quickly where the progress has been made due to MDGs and SDGs as far as the matters of life and death is concerned. In the sense, these are like absolutely critical kind of indicators. And if those indicators are not achieved, it would result in deaths. So let's just look at some of those. The malaria cases actually fell a lot. So before the MDG started, it was 158. Today, it has become only 30. The downside is that they had started decreasing, but in last 2 years, they are going up once again. So we need to do something about that. TB was more difficult. Even MDGs could not achieve their goals on TB so easily. And even today, again, the same thing has happened. The trend was declining, but it has sharply shot up as far as TB is concerned. We have to make our fight much stronger for TB. Where we achieved a lot of progress was the HIV cases. The HIV cases have declined almost by 88% because of these goals. So we have done a lot as far as HIV is concerned. Maternal mortality, once again, we have achieved a lot. And now it has been reduced by almost 87%. So something remains to be done still, but for both of these goals, you can say that we have made very satisfactory progress. But one place where we could not make much progress again is the under 5 mortality rate. The under 5 mortality rate was actually achieved very well as far as MDGs were concerned. 50% decline is an amazing decline as far as under 5 mortality is concerned. But as far as SDGs are concerned, it has been only 11% till now. So at the most it will be 22% or something, which is not a very good progress. Yeah, next please. But one thing which I want to point out is that yes, the progress was made, as I showed you, according to the goals or the targets which were there. Maybe we could not achieve those targets. But if you ask me, I would say that when so many thousands of lives were saved, even if it was TB, where we could not achieve that much, but we still achieved thousands of lives, thousands. So when we have achieved that, to say that we have failed completely is not correct. And I feel that yes, we will have to keep trying. Maybe we were over-ambitious, but there is no need to lose heart because we have made progress. And in that progress, so many people are alive today. People who have gotten their lives because of these efforts. It's a very important thing. Next slide, please. As far as education is concerned, in primary education, we have achieved almost everything that we wanted to. Almost 100%. 99 to 100% of the children are in school today, all over the world, which is a really big achievement. Okay? Enrollment in the secondary school is till now only 77%. So we are kind of falling behind as far as that is concerned. But when you are in primary school for 4 years, at least one assumes that you know the numbers and you know how to read and write. And that itself, if as a world we have achieved, then according to me, it's a good achievement. It's a very good achievement. As far as India is concerned, we have been able to achieve one more thing. We have achieved gender parity in both primary and secondary school enrollment. Matlab ki if there are so many boys who are of that age and are going to school, equal number of girls who are of that age are going to school. Something to be extremely proud of in a nation that Rekha ma'am said is suffering from so many problems. This is a big achievement. Unfortunately, when it comes to the 9th standard, the enrollment of girls start falling because they start withdrawing the girls. So that we still need to work on. Next slide, please. No, you went once, yes. So there is just one concern, and this concern actually is very effectively being brought out by Pratham in its ASER surveys on education, almost every, I think, second year or year, but all over the world also. 58% of the students who have gone to school can't actually read, can't actually count. So we have enrolled them, but we have not educated them. And that is something which remains a huge gap. And because of this gap, we say that the adults who are out of school already, we can't now educate them because the education drive started a little later, and hence naturally 50-year-old person might not be literate. What we find is that literacy rate among the youth, 15 years old and lesser, is still only 86%. आप primary में 100% enrollment की बात कर रहे हो, and then you say that only 86% students actually are literate. I don't know where this statistics is going, but well, all these statistics are given by UN only. Next slide, please. Now, as far as India is concerned, when India started its 5-year programs or plans, India concentrated not just on education and health, but India concentrated on economic indicators also, and we used to call it the basic needs program. So how are we doing on these basic needs? Extreme poverty, as far as the world is concerned, started falling rapidly during the MDG period. I remember some people telling me that, Alka, you are a development economist and you are going to become unemployed in just 5 years because poverty is gone. Karogi kya tum? You know? Well, 14% it came down to as far as the world was concerned. Comes COVID and it actually increases. And then we are trying to make it come down. It has come down to 9%, but it is not eliminated as we thought it would be. So the world is still made of a lot of poor people. Hunger. We said in a civil world there is no place for hunger. We said that we have so many food grains that we can feed more than what the world population is, and still the fact remains that people are hungry. UN says that hunger has declined to about 8% of the world population now. But if you look deeply into the same UN publications, you find that 1 in 4 persons, I'll repeat this again, please let these statistics hit you. 1 in 4 persons in the world is still food insecure. 1 in 4 persons is still worried from where the food for tomorrow is going to come and whether it is going to come. So to say that we have eliminated hunger, we must be kidding ourselves. As far as housing is concerned, zero progress. The homeless population remains where it was. As far as electricity and fuel is concerned, they say that 74% of the people actually have the access to clean fuel. Indian government says that the figure goes up to almost 90% as far as the Indian population is concerned. I am a development economist. I have gone to villages and I have talked to people. They all have access to clean fuel. None of them use it. So, I mean, you have given them access, but it is not affordable to them. And if it is not affordable to them, they are not using it, and you still have the emission of carbon dioxide. And at least half, now this is like 1 in every 2nd person in the world. Half of the world's population experience severe water scarcity, at least for some time of the year. We have not been able to provide something as basic as drinking water to our population as far as the world is concerned. India is in no better shape. In fact, we are worse, if not much worse. Yeah, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, so what could have been the causes for slow progress? Some of the reasons which have been given by United Nations is that the first one is not actually given by United Nations, but all the other experts have said that when you set 169 targets, it is not a surprise at all that you did not achieve it. So fine, I mean, you did not achieve, we knew that you would not achieve. The second cause is COVID, because as I said, as far as the incomes, as far as hunger, as far as employment, all of these things suffered a lot because of COVID. I don't even need to go into details of that. You have experienced it. You have lived through it. You know what I'm talking about. And the reason now why the goals are not being achieved is because of the kind of wars which are happening. In Africa, many nations are fighting with each other. You all know about the war which is happening between Ukraine and Russia, and which is happening between Israel and Palestine, or rather we would say, you know all about how Israel is bombing and destroying the entire population of Palestine. So all of this, of course, is going to be affecting the indicators as far as the world is concerned. Next slide, please. So that was as far as the goals were concerned, the targets were concerned, and as I told you, some of them have actually helped us because we have been able to save lives. We have been able to give education to a lot of people. But the criticisms for MDG and SDGs also are very loud and clear, and I'll tell you some of them. So there is one person called Rekha who has made very strong criticism, saying that look at the nations who are topping the chart of achieving the MDG and SDGs. They are like Sweden, they are like Finland, they are like Denmark. He says, fine, they are achieving the goals very well, they are governing themselves so beautifully, congratulations, but they are consuming the natural resources of the world in such a way that if we follow these top performers of MDGs and SDGs, then we will be destroyed as far as world ecosystem is concerned. So he asks, are we defining ourselves properly? What are we doing? Is this where we want the entire world to move? Towards complete natural destruction? So this is the question that he asks, and so it is time that we look at some alternative models of human well-being, and I want to present to you a very cute, very beautiful model. So that is my last slide. Yes, please change the slide. It's not coming. Yeah, so this is something which has been in existence only since last about 3-4 years, or maybe at the most 5 years. It is called Happy Planet Index. So what do these people say? They say that we don't want people to be defined by the indicators that we define for them, saying that you are good because I am telling you that you have such indicators, so hence you are happy. I might not be happy. Yeah? So they ask the populations to assess for themselves, are you happy? And depending on lots of indicators, they have some 39 indicators that they use for that, but they make people to decide for themselves whether you are happy, which is called the happiness index. Happiness index has been there for almost last 10 to 15 years. There is one more index which has been introduced based on happiness index, which is called the Happy Planet Index. So you first ask the population, are you happy? And you decide their ranking according to their happiness. Now you divide it by the carbon emissions that that population is making. So are you happy? And are you keeping the nature also happy? I mean, are you leading very responsible lives or not? So when you ask that question, the nation which has been consistently since last 3 years, only this year it became second, the nation which is the highest on the Happy Planet Index is an extremely tiny nation in the Pacific Ocean called Vanuatu. I can almost assure you most of you have not even heard the name Vanuatu. So Vanuatu is made of people who are so poor that it was a least developed nation once upon a time. But just in last 10 years, it happened to develop itself more. But it has the people who are very happy according to their own assessment. Why? Because they have enough food. They grow their own food. And they are not importing any food. They just eat what they grow and they have enough. So they are happy. They have this beautiful nature. Now go home and try out the photographs of Vanuatu and you would know what I mean. Beautiful nature all around them. They are happy. And they are also happy because, their houses are generally made of natural materials. They don't have to import anything. They are not polluting the environment at all. They have mud houses and thatched houses. They are happy. And they have a very responsible government to see to it that when any natural disaster strikes, it sees to the security of its people. So that is why the Vanuatu people are happy. But there is one more thing which makes it very interesting nation. And that is the person who is the richest person in Vanuatu is defined by the amount of wealth that a person gives away. So if you are a miser who is just keeping all the money to yourself, the Vanuatu people will call you conjuice but not will call you rich. The rich people are the ones who give away. And the one who gives away the most is, according to them, the richest person. Maybe that's the reason why they are happy. Okay, next slide please. So, my message through this entire presentation is that let us strive for human happiness and stop this rat race for materialistic progress, and let us learn to respect the nature and all the living things in it. Next slide please. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Thank you.
So much, ma'am, for gracing your insights with SDGs, MDGs, and HPI. Change, ma'am, as you implemented is slow, but it's truly inevitable. Now, I would like to invite Harshita Sharma, Youth Delegate of United Nations, New York, to felicitate ma'am with the gifts. I would again like to invite Professor Alka Parikh for the vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
So now I stand here as one of the collaborators of IIHSG. And the partner who has been, as I said, with IIHSG since its inception. One thing which I wanted to point out about IIHSG is that you saw the kind of talks that happened today. And all of these talks you saw is actually coming from the field below. Whether it was Rekha ma'am's talk, whether it was the talk from Pradan, or whether it was the professor's talk. All of these are the talks which have basically come from understanding the ground. And IIHSG strives to be a platform for exhibiting such experiments. So now, with that introduction of IIHSG and its conferences, I want to start my vote of thanks. And I would like to start with the person for whom I want all of you to clap nicely and loudly, not that polite conference clap that nobody can hear, proper one, but wait. So, it is for Dr. Nandini Basistha, who is Dr. Nandini Basistha. Yes, you are not supposed to clap, people are clapping for you. Yeah. Okay, so she single-handedly organizes all of these huge conferences. And it is she and only she who looks after every single detail of the organization of this conference. So she needs to be really, really thanked for whatever she is doing. You can clap again so that she can hear. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, the next on the list are the distinguished guests who are sitting on the dais here. Our sincere thanks to all of you, Rekha Sharma ma'am, Saroj Mahapatra sir, and Professor Swaran Singh sir, for taking out time from your very busy schedule to address our participants who are here and who are present online also. We learned a lot from each one of you, so very, very special thanks to you. Then our very appreciative thanks, and I think I hope she's still online. Our very appreciative thanks to Professor Aurora Martin, who joined us in spite of having COVID and having pneumonia. She is not well and still she sat through this entire ceremony. Ma'am, your support has always been unwavering. You are very, very special person for IIHSG. And we also hope that you would feel better soon. There are many technical sessions in this conference. We would like to thank the chairs of each session in advance for smoothly conducting the sessions and for giving their valuable comments. Similarly, many books have come out of the conference presentations last time and by some authors also. We thank all the editors of the books for meticulously putting together these books. The people who make this conference a success are you, the paper presenters and the participants of the conference. So you have come from different parts of India and some of you have actually come from different nations also. It is in your efforts that we thrive. We always wish you well and we hope that you will always succeed. I take this opportunity to also congratulate all the prize winners. Hope you will continue to shine in future in different platforms also. As far as the organization of the conference goes, the first people who gave their support to us were the collaborators of IIHSG. So we are grateful for the collaborative support and encouragement from the Center for Field Learning, Himachal Pradesh University, University of Chittagong, Bangladesh, and Vazay College. Conferences cannot be organized with just registration fees. I hope you know that. You always fall short. So we need sponsors to support our events. And they are actually, because of that, our very precious partners, because without them, it will be very difficult to smoothly conduct our conferences. Professor Saroj Verma sponsored the prizes. The gifts and kits have been sponsored by Renuka Shyam. Renuka ji. Yes. Yeah, so the gifts and kits have been sponsored by Renuka Shyam Narayan. And now I want to thank those who lent their hands in undertaking different tasks for the conference. There are some 40 interns here who readily are volunteering and helping us out for every task. Thank you, dear students. Your presence and your support gives us a great strength. We want to thank our secretary, Mr. Niladri Bhaumik, and the members of our organizing team, Renuka Sharma Narayan, Akib Mullah, Harshita Sharma, Harshita Singh, Amit Sharma, Manjunath, Ananya Harit, Latika Yadav, and Satyam Sundaram. And now, last but not the least, I thank you all for patiently listening to this thank yous.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your kind words. Now, I would request all the dignitaries to rise for a group photograph along with the conference books. I would also like to invite Renuka ma'am, Harshita ma'am, and Akib sir on stage.